get to introduce you to next has been an amazing mentor and guide in my own life. Partially from times that he never knew I existed, and then most recently, the last couple years, the friendship that John Gordon and I have had the opportunity to develop has been amazing. So the first book that I read of John's was Training Camp. And I was a soccer player at the University of Notre Dame and tore my ACLs and lost my career due to injury. And so I was going through my own personal identity crisis of, if I'm not Amber the soccer player, who am I, right? And in comes this book, Training Camp, that talks about this young man's journey through injury as an athlete. And in the back of it, there's this list, 11 traits of the best of the best. And it kind of, like, I have a lot of adrenaline, if you can't tell. And just reading that, I was like, let's go. The best of the best. That's who I want to be. I'm not trying to be average. And this guy sharpened me at a very young age and has written 30 books, 16 of which are bestsellers, 5 children's books, and I have a beautiful little 11 and a half month old at home right now, Miss Eliana Bell, and she's been the recipient of some John Gordon wisdom already. John serves as a mentor, a coach, a trusted advisor to some of the world's best influential CEOs, and then coaches, head coaches, GMs, advisors in the NFL, the NBA, the MLB. I've had the opportunity to see him speak in professional sports settings, and his ability to stir up inside of people a desire to be the best of the best and not just talk about it but be about it is what makes this guy really, really special. He's been given a gift to communicate in words, to talk about the power of positivity, and not from a fluffy standpoint again, but from a neuroscience standpoint. Listen, the brain in a positive state thinks more clearly, thinks more creatively, and it problem solves better. Can I get a show of hands if you think you'd like a little of that action in your life? Yeah, thinking clearly, thinking creatively, and problem solving. That's what all of his work allows us to do, to step in and be the men, women, leaders, parents, spouses that we were called and created to be. And last year was really special at Notre Dame. We had the chance to listen to not only John, but his beautiful daughter, Jade, who has decided to follow in this path of speaking and challenging, encouraging, inspiring other people to be on their own journeys of purpose. So without further ado, please help me welcome to the stage, John Gordon.
So stories like that make me feel really good, Amber, but they also make me feel old. And she was reading my book as a college athlete, and now she's having a huge impact in her role and what she does all around through the sports world and business world. Let's give her a hand because she is amazing. How many of you know your purpose? Raise your hand if you know your purpose. Who here would like to know their purpose? Raise your hand if you'd like to know your purpose. If you're not sure what it is, it's okay. I spent so many years of my life not knowing what my purpose was. You know, I'm known for speaking on positivity and writing books on positivity. Everyone thinks that I am naturally positive, but I'm not. I grew up in Long Island, New York. A Jewish Italian family. A lot of food, a lot of guilt. A lot of wine, a lot of whining. My mom was the Jewish mom. She wanted the son the doctor, the son the lawyer. My brother goes to Johns Hopkins pre-med. I go to Cornell University pre-law. So she's telling everyone, oh, my son the doctor, my son the lawyer. My brother came out an actor. I came out a bartender. She was devastated. I know she would be proud that I'm here with you today, though. She passed away at 59 years old. And I know that she'd be proud that I get to share with all of you in talking about purpose and hopefully helping you live your purpose in a greater way. My dad was a New York City police officer, undercover narcotics. And so he was shot a few times. My dad was not very positive. He was a loving man, but one of the most negative guys on the planet. You would get up in the morning, you would say, good morning, Dad. He'd say, what's so good about it? My dad was Al Bundy before Al Bundy was Al Bundy. And I just realized many of you have no idea who Al Bundy is. So I struggled as a kid with being positive growing up in that environment. When I started speaking, my dad said, I can't believe people actually pay you to speak. He goes, when you were a kid, we paid you to shut up. So I struggled with mindset a lot. I struggled with anxiety, with fear. There were times that I was depressed. And in my 20s, I was a go-getter. I was making it happen. I ran for city council at the age of 26. I walked door to door to 7,000 houses. I opened up a bar at 24 years old in Atlanta, in Buckhead, and I was getting all these people to come to this bar. And then I started a nonprofit organization called the Phoenix Organization, raising money for youth-focused charities. So I was moving, shaking, meeting all these people, running for city council, lose the city council race. Lose it. I was devastated. I thought my life was over. I realized sometimes you have to lose a goal to find your destiny. I lost my goal, but there was something else for me, but I wasn't sure what it was. I get to go work for this .com. 100,000 shares. It was during the .com boom. I'm going to make a fortune, and I lose my job during the .com crash. We had just moved to Jacksonville, Florida from Atlanta. I had a mortgage. I had a family. I had a wife. And I lose this job, and I am crumbling from the inside out. I am so full of fear. I am so anxious. I had these hopes and dreams of being successful, and everything was falling apart. I lose my identity of this young guy going after it, chasing things, making things happen. And then when you're left with nothing, you find the one thing that truly matters. But I didn't find it yet. My wife came up to me because I was being so negative to her and blaming her for why my life was not what I dreamed it to be, why I was not living up to my potential. She had enough of my negativity. She said, you're always blaming me. You're always being negative. She goes, I'm not going to live my life like that. If you don't change, we're over. You need to change. And I looked in the mirror, and I knew I wanted to change. I didn't like who I had become. I didn't like the fear I had. I was crumbling with fear from the inside out. And I remember being on my hands and knees saying, God, what am I born to do, God? Why am I here? And why am I so miserable? Because I was so miserable. And it was so clear to me, you're focused on yourself. That's why you're so miserable. You need to be about others. I was so happy when I was doing the Phoenix organization and making a difference in the community and doing that. I want to do that. I want to do something like that again. I want to make a difference. And so I knew I wanted to make a difference. I didn't know what it was, but I didn't want to be about my success. I wanted to make an impact. So it started there. And then I'm like, all right, God, but how? And I'll never forget, writing and speaking came to me in that moment. I wanted to write and speak. I wanted to inspire others the way I was inspired. Ken Blanchard was one of my mentors. Ken Blanchard taught at Cornell. I went to Cornell. I was like, I want to impact people like that. I want to somehow do this work. My friends to this day remember me calling them up saying, I'm going to be a writer and speaker. And they were like, yeah, sure. But I said, I'm going to somehow, some way, I'm going to go do this. And so I began this journey of saying I'm going to write and speak. On what, though? I don't know, but I wanted to be more positive. So I started to research all the ways that I could be more positive. And this was during the emerging field of positive psychology. So I began practicing all these different ideas that were just coming out and then turning them into practices for me. Like, I read you can't be stressed and thankful at the same time. So I began taking a walk of gratitude every day, saying what I was thankful for. And I realized when I was doing that, I was flooding my brain with these positive emotions that uplifted me rather than the stress hormones that slowly drained me and over time were slowly killing me. So every day, taking that walk of gratitude was creating a fertile mind that was ready for great things to happen. Are you grateful right now? Are you grateful? Yeah, we're grateful, right? That's such a powerful thing. So I started doing that, and I realized, wow, I'm feeling different. I'm acting different. My wife noticed that I was acting different. And so then I began to write a weekly positive tip. Every week I would share a positive tip. I had 5 subscribers to my newsletter initially when I started this. My mother, my brother, best friend from college. I was sending that out to my teammates. They were reading it. People started to share that. And that led me to eventually write a book called The Energy Bus. Who here has read The Energy Bus? I'm just curious. Okay, all right, more than 10. All right, that's awesome. I wrote that book. It's rejected by over 30 publishers. I'm told to give up. When I was struggling, how am I going to pay for my family, how am I going to support my family, all of that. I eventually opened up a Moe's Southwest Grill burrito chain. Not the whole chain, but a franchise. And I opened them up in Jacksonville. And so I second mortgaged my home, $20,000 in credit cards to hopefully allow me to write and speak. But now, right, I know I want to write and speak full time. So I sell to restaurants. And that's when I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to write and speak. I'm going to do this work somehow, some way. It's going to be successful. And then all of a sudden, I get rejected by all these publishers with the energy bus, told it's not going to happen. What's an energy bus? Even my agent said, you should give up. But I couldn't give up because I had my vision and my purpose. And it was this, to encourage as many people as possible, one person at a time. Just encourage as many people as possible, one person at a time. Make a difference for that one person and impact them. And that kept me going through all the rejections. I remember being in a bookstore and seeing other books by John Wiley and Sons, the publisher, on there. And we hadn't sent my book to Wiley. So we sent the book to Wiley, and they eventually would publish the book. I'll never forget, it's coming out. I'm so excited. I asked a friend, what should I do? He said, pray. So I prayed for it to be a bestseller. It came out, it was a bestseller in Korea. I learned you got to be specific with your prayers. It was a huge hit in South Korea, not North Korea, but a huge hit in South Korea. But not one bookstore in the United States would carry the book. Not one. So think about it. You have this dream. You sell your restaurants. You're going to focus on this. My wife even said, what happens if it doesn't work? I said, there are no other options. There is no plan B, but it was not looking good. A was not looking good. But I decided to go on a 28-city tour, paid for by myself. And I go from city to city, sharing the message in the book. And we had 5 people in one city, 10 people in another, 20 in another. The most people we had were 100 people in Des Moines, Iowa. They thought Jeff Gordon was coming. That's why they showed up. We're in Charlotte. We can laugh more about that. And Jeff Gordon was not there, and that's not a joke. That's a true story. So I get back from this tour. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what's going to happen. The tour wasn't successful. I really believe I have something that can make a difference. And I went back to my vision and mission again. Inspire and encourage as many people as possible, one person at a time. Every day, just show up and do the work. Every day, just make a difference. Every day, just find a way to impact others. And that's what drove me every single day. Remember, telescope and microscope. Write that down. Telescope and microscope. That's your big picture vision. Where are you going? And why are you going there? Microscope. Zoom focus actions each day to realize the picture in that telescope. I've got this big picture vision, but every day I got to show up and I got to do the work. And remember this, we don't get burned out because of what we do. We get burned out because we forget why we do it. Let that why fuel you. Let that purpose fuel you. Let that purpose give you the strength. People are most energized when they're using their strengths and their gifts for a bigger purpose beyond themselves. So what is your bigger purpose? What is your vision of where you want to go? I'm telling you my story because I want you to think of yours. How can you make a greater impact in this world? If the doors are being shut, keep on moving through them. Find a way around them. Navigate day in and day out. After that moment where I said, I'm just going to make a difference one person at a time. I'm going to live my vision. I'm going to live my purpose. Just show up every single day. Jack Del Rio read my book, The Energy Bus, 2007. I get a call from Jack. He wants to meet with me. He wants to talk about energy vampires and how they are sabotaging him and his team. And he read my book, and it helped him realize what he needed to do with the negativity that was sabotaging him and the team. He invited me to speak to the team. I said, I'll speak if you give everyone a copy of the book. I don't know why I said it. I was bold. I said it. He said, all right, done deal. He goes, I'm going to do better than that, John. I'm going to get everyone in the organization a copy of the Energy Bus. Everyone, custodial workers, food service folks. He wanted everyone interacting with the players to share positive energy, because the book is all about sharing positive energy. Remember, this is 2007. We were not talking about that a lot back then. Now we're talking about it more and more, right? So Jack invites me to speak. And that team has an amazing year that year. They beat the Steelers in the playoffs. I heard there was a Steeler chaplain here today. Is he here? Okay, sorry about that. But I love the Steelers, by the way. But beats the Steelers that year. And then after that, a lot of people started talking about the energy bus because word got out. Mike Smith became the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. He was the defensive coordinator at the time. And then he invited me to speak to the Falcons. Matt Ryan was a rookie quarterback. This is how long ago it was. And Matt Ryan just retired. Man, I'm getting old. So anyway, the point is you live and breathe the vision and mission every single day. That book, The Energy Bus, has now sold over 3 million copies worldwide. Since only 10 people raised their hand, no thanks to the people in this room. But that's okay. Every day is a new opportunity, right, to share it with someone else, because I'm still on a mission. It's wild to me. I'm like 53, and then I'm talking about a book that I wrote when I was 35 years old, right? And I've written, 29 other books since. And I really believe my work has gotten better. My mindset has gotten better. My thoughts have gotten just so much higher in so many ways, right? I've really thought through so many different things. My new book, The One Truth, literally just came out about 7 months ago, and it is a game changer. It's revolutionary. There's nothing like it, talking about the brain as an antenna. 2 main frequencies that we tune into, positive and negative frequencies. Understanding that everything comes down to oneness and separateness. There's a power always trying to unite us and connect us to ourselves, to each other, and then to our Creator. And there's a force always trying to divide us and separate us and weaken us. And once you understand that, you'll understand how everything in this world plays out. Like the root for the Greek word of anxious means to separate and divide. So when you're anxious, you actually feel separate and divided. All mental health disorders report feelings of isolation and disconnection and feeling separate. We use terms like bipolar, 2 poles. Schizophrenia means split mind. When we suffer trauma, there's a neurological separation in our brain. Think about that, a neurological separation. That's the manifestation of the separation we feel in our mind and our soul. And there's a word that I love, it's called shalom. And shalom actually means wholeness. It means peace. It means oneness. It means integrity. It comes from the word integer, which means whole and complete. The answer to the trauma is shalom. It's wholeness. It's healing. It's connection. Relational psychology says we heal in a loving relationship. You see, my purpose continues to drive me day in and day out to think of new things, to continue to help people in different ways. What you realize is when you're thinking that way and you're focused on that, you can't help but elevate because God's going to use you to elevate others. It's not about you. It's about making a greater difference in this world. And so what I want to share with you are some thoughts on purpose that I've been thinking about and how these thoughts on purpose can also help fuel you. And one is that purpose can often be stopped or blocked or thwarted in many ways by distractions, because distractions are the enemy of greatness. Have you ever been distracted and allowed that distraction to keep you from your purpose? I live in Northeast Florida, and in Northeast Florida we have sea turtles there. And sea turtles come on shore between May and August. And then what they do is they lay their eggs. A few months later, they hatch. And when they hatch, these sea turtles, these hatchlings, move towards the water. Why do they move towards the water? What guides them there? Anyone know? The pure light of the moon guides them towards the water. Now think about developed beaches. Think about areas where there are a ton of condominiums and bright lights and huge buildings and restaurants. Too often, these sea turtles actually go towards the bright lights. They go towards the distraction. They go towards what seems appealing, but unfortunately, so often it leads to their destruction. Same thing happens to us. We follow things that seem appealing. We think it's good for us, but it's not great for us. We go towards things that are appealing, and yet it winds up causing our destruction. We are meant to follow the pure light of the moon. This is the path you are meant to follow. This is God's purpose for your life. David Jeremiah says, success is the fulfillment of God's plan for your life. That plan is your purpose. That purpose is part of your plan. You are meant to live that purpose and not allow distractions to keep you from being your best. Are you with me on that? I did this a few years ago. I started a cookie company. It was called The Positive Cookie. And I thought this is going to be the best thing ever. It's a positive cookie. It's gluten-free. It's organic. It's vegan. There's no taste, but it was awesome. I'm just telling you. Actually, no, it was really good. It was actually really good. We made a great cookie, and inside the wrapper, we put a card with a quote on the wrapper. So, okay, we got this wrapper. We got this card. People are going to read this quote after eating the cookie. They're going to find some positivity. This shares the message, right? It's a great mission. Well, we were selling online and doing pretty well, and then it came our time to start trying to sell in stores. So we went to stores, and we realized that it cost us $1 to make this cookie. $1. Stores were going to give us $1.30 for each cookie. So that's spending $1 to make 30 cents. I would find out from my friend who was a billionaire and had a very successful company, that's not a sustainable model. I should have known this when I got into business. I'm a better writer and speaker than I am businessman. I didn't know this. I wish I knew. I was faced with a choice that day. He told me that. And we're in the car. I said, so what do I do? He goes, well, you got to make a cheaper cookie or you got to walk away. I prayed and I heard the words loud and clear. I did not put you on earth to make and sell cookies. It was so clear. All right, I'm not here to sell cookies. In that moment, I'm like, that's a good thing that I know this, but it's a bad thing because I'm going to lose a lot of money. Like a lot of money that I put into this cookie business. So right away in that moment, this positive cookie became a very negative cookie. I called that negative cookie for a while. Like, you're a negative cookie. But then I started thinking about, why am I here? What is my purpose? And I realized it's to impact people, right? That's why I'm here. It's to impact people, and it's to hopefully transform lives through purpose and positivity. And then what became very clear was I had the capacity, I had the energy, I had the time, clearly besides writing and speaking, to do something else. And it became clear, okay, I'm going to start a training company where we develop leaders who build stronger teams and create a more positive world. That's what I'm going to do going forward. And one of my colleagues is here, Julie Nee. Julie, stand up. Come on, Julie. She leads our training. She's amazing. She's incredible. And she was actually saying, John, you need to do training. And I'm like, I don't want to do training. You need to do training. And it was in those moments of why I'm here that I heard Julie's words and her thoughts and God's thoughts. And I said, okay, I'm here to do that, and I'm going to do that. We have now developed thousands of leaders around the world focusing on this mission and doing so many more. We have a certification program now. We're actually certifying people to deliver workshops, keynotes on the energy bus, power of positive leadership, power of a positive team. So they build stronger teams. They impact communities. They impact schools. They impact businesses. It's been incredible. We have so many leaders who are doing it now to cascade this throughout their organization so they have the tools and the resources to actually develop leaders within their organization. Because so often we lose the leadership, we lose the culture, and we lose success because we do not have tools to make leaders better in our organization. Are you with me on that? So I realized, okay, that's our mission. But it's not about money. It's about how do we impact people to be more positive, to live with more purpose, to build stronger teams, because a stronger team is a united and connected team. A weak team is a very divided team. How do we create unity so that people go home, they're happier, they're more engaged? And how do we do this more with our families? How do we get them more united and connected? So ultimately, everything is driven from that. See, I had to go through the experience, though, of the negative cookie to now do this work. And I realized if I never did the negative cookie, I would never have done this training company, and I would never make the impact I'm making now. So now I call that negative cookie a positive cookie once again. It's now a positive cookie because I truly believe it led me to something greater. So distractions will derail you, but always remember your purpose is greater than your challenges. Your purpose is greater than your rejection and your obstacles that you face. Stay on the path of your purpose. Follow the pure light of the moon and the path that you are meant to follow. I was recently talking to a young man talking about your purpose. Once I got really clear on my purpose, positivity, leadership, teams, making an impact, and also now bringing this to younger people, things just started happening. After I wrote The One Truth, actually, no, I should say before I wrote The One Truth, I was getting all these ideas that became The One Truth. And there was this young man who was suicidal. He was in the ER 2 nights before. And we were talking because he finally agreed to meet with me. I knew his mom, and I really wanted to talk to him, but he didn't want to talk to anyone. Remember, when we feel anxious and divided, we want to retreat from people. We don't want to connect to others. And we're talking, and he didn't believe in God at that time. He was lost. He was frustrated. He felt so disconnected, and I just could tell that he was really hurting. So I asked him this question. I said, are you an accident? He said, no, I'm not an accident. I said, well, if you don't believe in God, then all you do believe is in evolution, then it's really randomness and by chance you're here, so yeah, you're an accident. He goes, well, I'm not an accident. I said, do you have a purpose? He said, yeah. Oh, I have a purpose. I said, well, if you don't believe in God and this is all randomness and just an accident, then there really is no meaning and purpose, and there shouldn't be. It's all just survival. He's like, no, I have a purpose. And we began talking about the thoughts in his head and all those negative thoughts that were coming in. And once he understood that those negative thoughts were not coming from him, because who would ever choose to have a negative thought? Would you ever choose a negative thought? Once he realized those negative thoughts were just coming in, and I've talked to neuroscientists, no one has ever found a thought inside of a brain. When you're dreaming, having a nightmare, are you choosing those thoughts? No. So once you understood, okay, I don't have the power of the first thought because they're just going to come in, and they're always coming in. But I have the power of the second thought. I can actually speak truth to the lies and speak positivity to the negativity that I face. And I taught him that you're a hero in your own epic story. We are our heroes in our own story. And every hero must overcome what? A villain, negativity, adversity, and conflict. With what? With positivity and purpose to become who they are meant to be. Once he understood that, he's a hero in this epic story. He has to overcome negativity with positivity to be who he's called to be, to live his purpose. Because he was created for purpose, with love at the center of it all, everything changed. The next day, his mom called me. What did you do? He's fine. One talk, he was fine. Reached out to him the other day. A couple years later, how you doing? Doing great, Mr. Gordon. High state of mind still. Once we understand how thoughts work, once we understand that we're not an accident, once we understand that there is a purpose for our lives, and part of this purpose is to go through adversity and negativity and challenges, and that's part of the growth process, and that you will face opponents and rivals in the course of your life, and those rivals and opponents make you stronger, and adversity is an opponent that makes you stronger. They ultimately make you better. You realize it's all part of the purpose process. And I think so often when people are on this journey and bad things happen, they get so frustrated, they get so upset. When we realize it's actually part of our purpose, it's part of our plan, and it's part of our growth, everything changes. I wrote a book called The Seed, which is about finding your purpose. And here's how we find our purpose. We start to live with purpose. We start to be more intentional to make a difference and make an impact. We find our smaller purpose. And we don't chase success. We decide to make a difference. And success finds us. And we don't seek happiness. We decide to work with passion and purpose. And as a result of that, happiness is a byproduct, and it finds us. And we focus on doing the work and serving others and making a difference and making an impact. Our purpose starts to live through us. And then we connect in that oneness to our Creator. Because you were created for connection. You were never meant to be separate or independent. It's actually meant to be a dependent relationship. I am the vine, you are the branch. Apart from me, you can do nothing. It's meant for oneness. As we start to connect more with God and develop a relationship with the Creator, what happens is our purpose starts to move through us. It starts to flow through us. Are you with me on that? And we start, thank you for the clap, a few claps. It starts to live through us. We are spirit. God is spirit, right? When we die, we turn to dust. So what are we? We are spirit, we are soul. Soul is your spiritual DNA. It is the unique expression of who you are. Soul is your sense of self. And there's a spirit. We have a spirit component. It's like H2O. We're made of soul and spirit combined together. Spirit is that connection to God. Spirit is that oneness with God. And so what happens is we have the soul and the spirit, and the more our spirit then connects to God, that soul bathes in the spirit, and that's where you start to see transformation. It's why there's a power of prayer in our lives. I was talking to Tony Dungy. We were flying back on a plane after an event. And Tony Dungy told me the story about how Billy Graham was speaking, and he was speaking at Buck Stadium. And he's given this incredible sermon. It wasn't a long sermon. It was actually a short one. And all of a sudden, everyone stormed the field. Tony couldn't believe it. He's never seen anything like it. Like they just won a championship. People were running so fast towards the field. And he said to Billy, what just happened? How did you do this? You didn't even talk for a long time. Billy said, most people talk for a long time and they pray for a little while. We pray for a long time and we talk for a little while. That's the power of prayer. Couples who pray together, research shows 99% stay together. Why is that? You are spirit, your spouse is spirit, God is spirit. You become one spirit in that prayer. So the more we connect to our Creator, because we were created for connection, then what happens is his purpose starts to move through us and live through us. He starts to reveal his purpose for us and to us and then through us. And then we start living it. And then we start making a greater impact with it. Does this resonate? Is this making sense? Come on, can I get a couple claps if it makes sense? And this is not about religion. This is not about religion. This is about relationship. Okay, it's about relationship. What made me so happy the other day is I was at an event for all these executive women, and two women came out to me and said, I read your book, The One Truth, and I had gotten away from my faith tradition because the church really disappointed me and did a lot of things I wasn't happy about. And I went far away from my tradition that I grew up in. But your book brought me back to the connection and the oneness and the God who I know loves me. And I realized, wow, it's not about religion, it's about relationship. And I said, exactly, that was my hope when I wrote that book. You see, I have moved from not just about positivity, but it's about purpose. Because there are going to be days we get up, we don't feel very positive. And that's when we need a purpose to give us something to be positive about. And if you're not feeling positive and energized and optimistic so often, it's because you feel separate and disconnected. And the key is to move towards connection so you have that wholeness. And in that wholeness, you have power and you have peace and you have confidence and you have courage. There's a professional golfer recently who you know, and I was talking to him before one of the tournaments. It's not Scotty Scheffler. I wish it was Scotty, but it wasn't Scotty. I'm joking. I don't wish it was him because he's got his own thing. I'm so glad I was talking to the guy I was talking to. And in talking to him, he was struggling. And we had a great conversation. And he actually shared it on my podcast, so I'm not sharing anything he didn't share. And I just said, hey, I said, get back to loving playing golf and love putting. He goes, I'm not liking putting right now. I said, love putting and love God. I said, focus on that, and you'll get to a higher state of mind because you'll find more connection. In connection, we have more clarity. In clarity, we have more confidence. In confidence, we have more courage. And so he went towards that. Next week, he wins a major tournament, major one. I texted him, I said, I guess you decided to love putting and God. He said, I didn't know it was going to happen so quick. We don't do it for that reason. It's not why you do it. But all I know is in that connection, we experience more power, more peace, and more healing. You take a pickle. Nah, I'm not going to say it's a pickle yet. It's not a pickle. It's a cucumber. You take a cucumber and you put that into pickle juice and you submerge it and you pull it out really quick. Is it transformed? No. No. It must bathe in the pickle juice to be pickled and transformed. Our soul is the same way. Our soul must bathe in the Spirit to be transformed, renewed, and healed. And ultimately, that's how we heal, that's how we grow, and that's how we impact the world in an amazing way. I saw this with my wife. About over a year ago, my wife was being really negative. She said, I'm getting old. My body's breaking down. She said, I'm sore all the time. She goes, I'm never going to be like I was younger. I should just give up. I said, honey, I said, you got to be positive. She goes, shut up, positive guy. She didn't want to hear a word I had to say. I go away to a speaking engagement. I'm gone for 2 days. I come back. She's like a different person. She's feeling all positive, light, and free, like a different person. I said, what's going on? You're like a different person. She goes, I had that health coaching call with that health coaching company. It's where they take your blood, they look at your DNA, your genes. It's like this new advanced technology. They told her, this is really rare. They said, you have the genes of an Olympic athlete. So now she's walking around the house. I am an Olympic athlete. I am an Olympic athlete. She goes, you want to play tennis tomorrow? I'll crush you because I'm an Olympic athlete. She kept saying, I am an Olympic athlete. I am. The next day, she's meal prepping for a workout. Slowly but surely, the pain goes away. The inflammation goes away. The soreness goes away. She is literally like a different person. And now she looks and feels better than ever. What changed? Mindset. Positive mindset led to greater connection. She found a greater purpose. My wife is now speaking. She now has a podcast. She's doing this work. My daughter's doing this work. I'm doing this work. My son thinks we're all crazy. It's wild. My wife found a greater purpose, a greater connection, more positivity, and speaking truth and words of encouragement. Here's the best advice of all. Talk to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. Don't listen to all the negative thoughts. Don't listen to all the fear. Don't listen to the doubts. You talk to yourself with words of encouragement and with a greater purpose in mind. I told that story to the University of Texas football team during training camp this year. Told them about my wife and changing her thinking, and I am. I had each guy stand up and say, I am, and add a word after that. One guy said, I am powerful. Another guy said, I am a champion. Another guy said, I'm a great teammate. Another guy said, I am enough. It was so powerful to hear that. But even more powerful, an hour later, I'm in the weight room. The strength coach is in the middle of the team. The team is circled around the strength coach, and he yells, I am. And then they yelled, my brother's keeper. He yelled, I am, and they yelled, my brother's keeper. I said, this is going to be a team that beats Alabama, which they did. They had a great season, made the Final Four. I knew something was special. They were speaking life into who they were and to who they were to each other. They had a greater purpose. You know what their greater purpose was? Each other. We make a greater impact when our purpose is about making a difference to each other. I want to close with this story that I think is really important. One thing I know about purpose is that you're going to be inconvenienced when you try to live your purpose. Manny and his amazing wife, they are making a huge impact, but it's a big inconvenience to do what they've done. We see the highlights, we hear the story, but what he had to do along the way has been so challenging. This Purpose Summit is really inconvenient for these incredible people to put it on, right, Davin? It's not easy to put on. It's really challenging. And I realize the power of living our purpose because when we do, even in the inconvenient moments, we can make a difference. We were coming back in Long Island. I was going to visit my friends from high school, and I was speaking up there, so I rented a house so I could see my friends and hang out, and my wife was with me. And we went to dinner, and we get back that night to the house we're renting, and my wife says, I forgot the milk. I can't believe I forgot the milk. She's like, now I'm going to have to get up early in the morning to go get my milk for my coffee. I said, it's fine. You'll get up. You'll go get it. No big deal. I was not a servant leader in that moment. My wife goes to bed, and I go to bed. I get up at 7 a.m., something wakes me up, and I had the thought, go get your wife some milk. So now I'm driving to the store to go get my wife some milk. I'm in the store, I get the milk, I'm at the register. I said, I just got my wife some milk. I said, she's gonna call me St. John. It's gonna be awesome. She's gonna call me St. John. I'm so excited because I know I'm gonna bring this milk back and she's gonna be so happy, so shocked that I went and got her milk. So I'm driving back and I'm driving really fast, I guess, because next thing you know, I see the sirens going behind me. Turns out I was speeding. Didn't know I was speeding, but I was speeding. I was so excited thinking about what a great husband I am that I didn't realize I was speeding. So my wife, she's still sleeping. I'm sitting there, and next thing you know, the police officer walks over. Did you know you were speeding? No, I had no idea, officer. I said, my dad is actually a New York City police officer. I'm up in New York thinking that would help. It didn't help at all. He said, you're going to get a ticket. It's going to be points on your license. He said, and it's going to cost you a lot of money. He said, have a nice day. He said, by the way, there is a court date in December. If you want to come back to your court date in December, you can do that if you want to try to plead it. I'm like, great. Thank you, officer. I leave. As I'm driving away back to the house to my wife to bring her the milk, I all of a sudden became very negative. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I can't believe this. No good deed goes unpunished. I'm getting my wife milk, and this happens? Are you kidding me? I went from St. John to something else very quickly. I get in the door. My wife is up now. I said, I just got you milk, and it's the most expensive milk I've ever bought. And it's going to create the most expensive cup of coffee ever. She was thankful. I was still upset. And I drive to the gym to go work out. Was going to speak to Harvard Athletics that day and taking the ferry over there from Long Island, and so I wanted to get a workout before we left. I go to the gym. On my way to the gym, I had this thought, something positive has to come from this. I don't know what it is, but something positive has to come from this. I don't know what, but I get to the gym. I didn't know it was going to happen that fast. I'm working out, and there's a woman who was about my age, needed the bench, and she was working out with a trainer. So she asked me if she could have the bench, and I said, sure. And we started having a conversation. And then I said, hey, do you know of a local attorney around here who could represent me? Because I just got this traffic ticket. And when I got the traffic ticket, I thought, you know what? I bet he would give his own mother a ticket. Well, I told them what he looked like because they asked to describe him. They said, oh, yeah, we know him. Everyone knows him. He gave his own mother a ticket. So I knew it. So we start talking, and they gave me some advice. And then it turns to the fact that this woman finds out that I played lacrosse at Cornell. I told her I was a lacrosse player where I grew up in Smithtown. And she told me about her son who played at Ward Melville, which was a rival high school, a lot younger than me, many years younger. And then just recently, he was playing in college. And while in college, she told me how he got cancer. And she said he had such a positive spirit. And he was such a fighter. And this incredible optimism and belief. He just was so incredible. And then she told me he passed away from cancer. So now she's crying, and I'm crying. And then we start talking. And I start sharing with her the fact that both my parents had passed away. And I said, I don't think we ever really fully leave. Maybe we leave this dimension, this planet, but I think we're like in the next room when we pass away. I said, do you feel like they're in the next room sometimes? She said, I do. I feel like he's in the next room. I said, does he ever talk to you and say something to you? She goes, I hear him all the time. Don't be bitter, Mom. Don't give up, Mom. Just be happy. I want you to be happy, Mom. Just live your life. There's so much of your life left to live. Just live your life. And she said she hears him say that all the time. She goes, I think this was a sign of him speaking to me. I said, I know it was a sign. Because if I didn't get that ticket, I would have never asked you about the attorney. We'd never had this conversation. She said, well, I'm glad we did, because I really think it's the beginning of my healing. She said, I'm glad you got that ticket. As I drove away, I thought, I'm really glad I got that ticket too. Sometimes we have to be inconvenienced and stressed to help others be blessed. That's real purpose. So often we have to invest in the root if we really want a great supply of fruit. And it's not easy to live our purpose. And there'll be challenges along the way. But this is like real purpose that we're talking about here. That your purpose that you live day in and day out, it's not negotiable. It's something that you're meant to live with. It's who you are. It's your reason for being right here, right now. And if you're not sure what it is, that's okay. That's okay. Our quest in the journey of life is to ultimately, I truly believe, is to live with greater purpose to impact others. And what is that greater purpose? To bring heaven to earth and make earth like heaven. It's taking little kids and washing their feet and letting them know they are loved. It's using our businesses and our companies to make a greater impact in the lives of others. It's us on a daily basis just getting our wife some milk, helping our spouse with something that they need help with. It's the little things that we do every day with a big dose of love. I remember visiting my mom and seeing my mom and taking a walk in South Florida, and as we were walking, I could tell she got tired. My mom never got tired. She was an Energizer bunny. She was 59 years old, and we're taking this walk, and I said, Mom, let's turn back. You're getting tired. She said, no, we're going to the grocery store. We're going to get you some stuff to make you a sandwich. I'm going to make you a sandwich for your drive home. My mom thought I would starve to death if I didn't have the sandwich for the drive home. We got the stuff. We made our way back. First thing she did was she went into that kitchen of her condo, and she made me that sandwich. I didn't think much about the sandwich at the time. I didn't think much about it while I drove home. I ate it, I enjoyed it, didn't think much about it. I think about that sandwich all the time. That was the last time I saw my mom fully conscious. Here she was, battling cancer, wouldn't tell anyone how bad it was. Her biggest priority was to make me a sandwich. Living your purpose is not always about the big thing. So often it's about doing the little thing with a big dose of selfless love and a greater purpose. Are you with me on that? So in closing, I want to encourage you. Let's start living our purpose. If you're not sure what it is, start living on purpose. Find some way to serve. Find someone to love. And find someone to show that you care. We love, we serve, we care. We do that, we will have an exponential impact in this world and transform this world. There's so much negativity. There's so much hate. But remember, it pales in comparison to the power of positivity, love, and purpose. Love is the highest frequency there is. And that's why love casts out fear. So the minute you focus on love, fear will dissipate. There's a force trying to make you fearful and keep you from your purpose. And there's a power that's trying to unite you and connect you so you will live with greater purpose. Trust in that power, receive that love, and share it with the world. Thank you so much.